USPAP, page 196. Ethics rule, conduct continued. Number 18. Disclosure of any prior services regarding the subject property when an appraiser has appraised the property multiple times. Question: if I have appraised a property multiple times within the previous 3 years, do I have to disclose the number of appraisal services? For instance, I have appraised the subject property 3 times during the previous 3 years immediately preceding the acceptance of this assignment. Response: in most cases, the answer is yes. However, there are some situations, particularly for mass appraisals and appraisals of inventory of large quantities of machinery and equipment, when enumerating prior services for each item may be unreasonable. According to the conduct section of the ethics rule, any prior service regarding the subject property must be disclosed to the client. And according to SR 2-3, SR 4-3, SR 6-3, SR 8-3, and SR 10-3, the prior services must also be specified in the certification. Thus, in most cases, the appraiser must both disclose the number of prior services and specify the nature of the service. For instance, as an appraiser, or in some other capacity, such as a broker, mortgage broker, builder, etc. An example of a certification disclosure when there have been 3 prior appraisals is as follows. I have performed 3 appraisal services as an appraiser, but I have provided no other services as an appraiser or in any other capacity regarding the property that is the subject of this report within the 3-year period immediately preceding acceptance of this assignment. Below is an example of an appropriate certification disclosure of all prior services when there are so many assets with prior services that it is unreasonable to enumerate them. The example shows how full disclosure of prior services can be accomplished with a description. I have performed appraisals of most of the 200 aircraft that are the subject of this report twice per year during the 3-year period immediately preceding acceptance of this assignment. The exemptions are approximately 85 that I have appraised more frequently than twice per year due to refinancing, or those that I have never appraised because they were acquired this year. I have provided no other services as an appraiser or in any other capacity regarding these subject properties within the 3-year period immediately preceding acceptance of this assignment. Number 19. Disclosure of prior services. Question: I know USPAP requires an appraiser prior to accepting an assignment or if discovered at any time during the assignment, to disclose any prior services performed on a property within the last 3 years. I have recently seen some reports where the appraiser stated, I have performed no prior services regarding this property within 3 years of the effective date of this report. Is it acceptable to base the 3 years from the effective date of the appraisal? Response: no. The conduct section of the ethics rule specifies the 3-year time frame to be immediately preceding acceptance of the assignment. If known prior to accepting an assignment, and/or if discovered at any time during the assignment, an appraiser must disclose to the client and in the subsequent report certification any services regarding the subject property performed by the appraiser within the 3-year period immediately preceding acceptance of the assignment as an appraiser or in any other capacity. Bold, added for emphasis. Page 197. Although the effective date of the appraisal may be relatively close to the date the assignment was accepted, there may be cases when there are significant differences between the two dates, which could result in a different response from the appraiser. Number 20. Disclosure of any prior services regarding the subject property before accepting an assignment, when the appraiser only works for one client. Question: I am a staff appraiser for a company and only complete appraisals for my employer's, the company's internal use. Am I required to inform the company that I have previously completed an appraisal within the 3-year period when the company is already aware of it? Response: if you consistently correspond with the same person in the company when completing subsequent assignments regarding the same property, the risk of misleading that person is probably minimal. However, your prior services must still be disclosed. When you are working with the same person and they understand your professional responsibilities, it is unlikely this will be a problem. It is also possible that the specific person you deal with from one instance to the next may change. While in this case, the new contact must certainly be informed if you have performed services regarding the subject property within the last 3 years. While it is not included in your question, there is also the possibility that you may have performed services regarding that property for a different client within the 3-year period or performed another type of service. Number 21. Disclosure of any prior services regarding the subject property when an appraiser has performed services other than appraisal practice. Question: if I have performed a service other than appraisal practice, such as acting as a general contractor within the prior 3 years, do I have to describe the specific service or merely state a service was performed? Response: you must disclose to the client the type of prior service you performed regarding the property. and this must be included in the report certification. This disclosure is not limited to services provided as part of appraisal practice. Therefore, each service must be disclosed to the client and must appear in the certification. Examples of appropriate disclosures in these cases are as follows. I have performed a general contracting service regarding the subject property. I have provided no other services as an appraiser or in any other capacity regarding the property that is the subject of this report within the 3-year period immediately preceding acceptance of this assignment. Or, I have performed a brokerage service regarding the subject property. I have provided no other services as an appraiser or in any other capacity regarding the property that is the subject of this report within the 3-year period immediately preceding acceptance of this assignment. If you have provided both of these services, an example of the appropriate disclosure is as follows.